So thank you everybody for being here for another exciting webinar. Once again, we're diving into the hot topic for the year, AI. So it should be an interesting one. As you can see here, the title this time is on practical examples and best practices. So while the last session that we did in May or June was launching our next generation of AI features, we're now going to showcase some of the ways that you can actually utilize this in everyday terms for your innovation program. So hopefully this will be packed full of insights and you can learn a lot. We'd really love to get your input and your feedback throughout the session. So please don't hesitate to ask any questions in the Q&A or in the chat. We love to get your input there. And yeah, we'll have a couple of polls to keep you awake. So look out for those as well. So my name is Elliot Wilkins. I'm a marketing manager for Qmarkets based out of the UK. I'll just be here in the background to make sure everything goes smoothly and to moderate. But the star of today's show is Yoel, our product expert. So I'll hand over to him very shortly. This is the agenda, so once my introduction is out of the way, Yoel will jump into our AI strategy, so the background behind our usage of AI in the platform, why we're doing it, where it can bring value, and just some kind of general introduction to the concepts. We'll then see a live demonstration of the AI tools in the platform and see examples of how it's utilized. And then we'll have a quick sneak peek into our roadmap. So looking ahead at some of the exciting features that we'll be delivering in the next 12 months or so. And of course, the mandatory Q&A session at the end. So feel free to ask any questions you have throughout. If anything comes up, we might even interject and ask a question straight away. So feel free to communicate as much as you like. For those of you who aren't familiar, we've got a lot of new faces today as well as some familiar ones. So this is a quick overview of who we are, what Qmarkets does. So we've been around for quite a while now. We provide innovation management software to large organizations mainly, all across the globe. And our tools are designed to bring value, so designed to help you generate ROI across your innovation program from the front end of innovation and trends and scouting all the way to implementation of new solutions, new products for your business. And we've got highly specialized tools and features tailored to that entire process. So if you're not familiar with our full offering, then we encourage you to get a demo, to reach out to us on the website, and we'll walk you through the use case in detail and discuss where it can be relevant for you in your innovation challenges. But today we'll focus on the AI features specifically. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Yoel.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you, Elliot. So, why is Qmarkets committed to AI? What is the reason behind it? First of all, we try to streamline processes and automation. This is something that we always have been doing in our Qmarkets innovation management tool. The second point, it's about enhanced decision-making, to make decision-making easier for the relevant power users, for the experts, and of course, the comparison prioritization. Then very important, mainly in the ideation part, is the improved personalization and engagement part. And eventually, it's about work efficiency, right? Our clients are working with hundreds and thousands of different people in their organization, outside the organization, and we want to make sure that we are not a burden with the innovation programs that we are running, but that we are actually helping out and making it smooth. So all of that eventually the ultimate goal is to maximize the bottom line ROI, to move fast and get to results early on. There is Elliot. Do we want to address questions already? What do you think?
If any come through, then we can. Right now, I'm not seeing any, so I'll jump in if anything comes up. I'll let you know.
Okay. Cool. So, what is our approach? Our approach of to handle AI. First of all, our clients are enterprise clients, all of them. That means we have clients in governments, we have clients in defense, we have clients in finance, automotive, and so on. For them, security, confidentiality is key. And that, of course, is a very special thing today in terms of not being clear on what AI actually does, where data goes, and so on. The second thing is flexibility and configuration. This has always been on our charter and one of our values to give the most flexibility and configuration options to our clients. Again, being in the enterprise business, we know the needs constantly change. And of course, the organizational structures and the processes are different. So we have to adopt also in our AI approach to these needs. Related to that is scalability, sustainability. Today, you're working with a team of 100 innovation managers, and maybe tomorrow it's a portfolio of a few hundred startups. It's a portfolio of a few dozen universities with their students and professors with 100, 200,000 employees. So it's important that also the AI options we can sustainably scale. And of course, it's all about best practices and libraries. What approaches have been working for us and what they have not, to make sure that we can really build our clients and make sure they can quickly get to the next level. So why is it more secure? Why is Qmarkets more secure than other solutions or than just using Perplexity AI or GPT, etc.? Okay. First of all, each client can say, yes, we want to activate, and what we want to activate and where we want to do that. But of course, on top of that, there is nothing collected or stored that is outside of your innovation portfolio and database, which is in our secured environments and which is considered your data. All the PII, personal data, is kept confidential. So there's nothing passing then that is personal. And of course, everything is locked for proper tracking. So we can make sure that we are fully revisioned. We have all the revisions and we are compliant with the security and cyber rules as of today. So we have the first poll now. What's your biggest challenge in innovation management? And we have these options that you can see on the screen.
You should be seeing it now. Yeah, I'm just getting used to the new Zoom interface, but I've now launched the poll. So this is a multiple choice option, I believe. I mean, is what is your biggest challenge, but if you want, you can, I think, select more than one here. And if you don't see a challenge that resonates with you, you can always add your own answer in the second question. It's great to hear if there's something unique or something different that is a big challenge for you in your innovation management efforts. Cool. So we'll give it another 20, 30 seconds or so to make sure everybody has time to join in. It's a tight race so far. We're seeing a pretty even spread, I would say, across all the different challenges here. Okay, so it's been over a minute now. I think we can end the poll and share the results. So you should all see here a breakdown of the answers. And it's just about is winning is the tracking and implementing ideas. So the back end implementation is often one of the biggest challenges. And I'm sure AI can do a lot to help in that area, right, Yoel?
That's right. Exactly.
Any
So
other comments on this, or shall we move on?
I think that already is pretty much in line on what our previous research has been proven. Of course, there are additional use cases, and some of them we will also see in the continuation of this call.
I see that nobody shared any additional challenges, so if you run out of time, feel free to share them in the chat area. I'd love to get your inputs throughout. So yeah, there's no rush.
Yeah. So for if you happen to be an existing client of Qmarkets, this is the onboarding process to enable the additional AI features. First of all, we have the introduction. We have another webinar that we already recorded. If you've not been able to attend, you can get it from your account manager or from our website. Then there is a commercial agreement regarding usage limitations and costs, but typically we give out trial version to test it around. The next step is an AI workshop with one of our product managers and customer success manager to see where is the best way to implement it in your innovation program, in your portfolio. Also, again, to cover our best practice use cases, but eventually take a look at specifically on your needs and where it can be best fit. Then, of course, there is a system configuration and result testing. You can decide if you want to do that already on a productive system, if you want to use your staging environment or have it on some testing sandbox. So typically it will require a few iterations. There are different configurations and settings on the fine-tuning, which is done by us to make sure that you really achieve the best possible results. Eventually, of course, we go live to a wider audience or to all your productive audience. Qmarkets always has been on the forefront of AI. I think it's now something like 8 or 9 years already that we've been introducing our first machine learning tools. On top of it is our machine learning clustering that identifies clusters out of all your data, all your trends, ideas, startup collaborations, in portfolio, and creates those in an interactive way. And of course, you can drill down, you can filter down as needed. The next one that we launched back then was the similar ideas or content matchmaking, which of course with the portfolio is much more relevant because it does not anymore just find ideas, but it also finds trends. It also finds existing projects, existing partners that match in a full text analysis existing idea or project, etc. So we have also the matchmaking within the idea, as we can see here. Then we have also the smart expert recommendation, which is looking at the user profiles, which is looking at the past experience, right, of the experts, and matching them again with a full text analysis using Elasticsearch with the relevant idea or project. So in this example here, the platform finds a possible available project lead, which is currently has experience of 6 similar ideas that he or she implemented. But let's take a look what we have today. First off is the AI assistant, and this is how it looks. And we will take a look quickly on real life scenario, how this could possibly act. To a screen. Let's say the first thing I want to do here, I want to write a challenge landing page. So I'm just created a new challenge, and now instead of now writing the whole challenge landing and going to GPT and producing there, maybe by now, what I want to do is I want Qmarkets AI assistant to create it. I just type in what I want and it will create it for me. Now, what it basically does, it takes the content that we have here. So first of all, we already, of course, know the title of this challenge, but it's more than that, okay? The platform knows who is the client. In this example right here, we're talking about the automotive company in Germany, BMW. This is like the training of the model, and it also knows about their challenges, it knows about their innovation strategy, their methodologies, and based on that, it creates a challenge brief for that very specific challenge. Now, of course, I can take the challenge question. We usually have this separately. I can do whatever I want to change. But eventually I have a nice challenge brief here already. And if I want, what I also can do, I now can say I want to concise it, I want to simplify it, everything or just partly. But this is a very typical use case to work on the challenge brief for our existing clients. So this reduces their work by a vast amount of time. And again, it's fully contextualized. A similar scenario is when I want to send an email to my audience. So I created a challenge, and now I would like to send an email to my audience. So I just want to do this quickly. Of course, it works in different languages as well, depending on what I tell it. By default, it would just take the user language. So in this case, it would take English. If I'm in a Japanese interface, it would answer in Japanese by default. So here now we have the invitation to the users when we want to invite them. Also, again, this has been challenging. Our users had a hard time to write nicely the emails to invite the users to this specific challenge. And of course, sometimes they missed to follow up when there was not enough engagement as they would like to have. So now it's very easy to follow up as well. Just type in, write a quick follow-up email on this challenge. And based on that, the AI assistant takes the work up. And of course, very typical is the idea, as we can see here. This is typically for the end users. If it is an idea, if it is a trend, if it's a startup company, whatever it is, I basically just say what is my overall idea, or I write it in my language. I use my mobile phone and I just do speech to text, or I use Whisper. This is a very typical use case, of course, especially if we are looking for high profile ideas and not simple improvement ideas. But even when improvement ideas, where we mainly work with blue collar workers, they have a barrier on, will this be good enough? And my language is bad, or it's not my own language, or whatever. All of these concerns we can reduce to a minimum by having the assistant, by just correcting it and fine tuning it. And of course, again, I can say, okay, this part here, I want to elaborate, or I want to improve it. I want to make it more concise. And the assistant will go over again with the whole context. So it still knows what is the whole challenge brief, what are the criteria. All of this information will be sent with it. And based on that, it will come back. And as you can see here, it can also do HTML. Exactly. The same, of course, goes for comments. It goes for expert reviews, and so on. The other tool that I would like to highlight is the strategic innovation tool. And basically what it does is, in the back end, it runs different prompts based on the different stages of the idea. So we are working with workflows. In each of these stages, we have different stakeholders. They're coming in, like experts, like sponsors, like mentors or coaches, maybe internal, maybe external roles coming in, doing their job. But we now have also an additional role, which is the AI agent. And the AI agent can go in each of these stages and do specific tasks for me. So what could be a possible use case for example, for idea management in an innovation challenge? So this is the challenge. This is the idea that, of course, Rachel also was writing together with our AI assistant to help her to focus on the benefits and the implementation plan, because this was required in the challenge brief. And what we basically can do now is we can go stage by stage, as we have here, and have the agent gather additional information. For example, we can say, when the idea comes to discussion phase, make an executive summary and create automated keywords or hashtags. Okay, this is a very simple example, obviously. There's not too much intelligence needed to do that, but it does that automatically. And of course, now with this summary, I can now use it in different places in the platform, or I can use it in the notifications, or I can use it in our SharePoint integration, or wherever that's needed. Let's go one step further, maybe in initial review phase. So in initial review phase, what are typical use cases is, one example, challenges and difficulties. Okay, take this, the actual challenge brief that we had, take this idea and its details, take all the methodology we are running in our innovation program at BMW, and create this, talk about challenges and difficulties in implementation. As you know, this is not 100% accurate. there is always a risk of hallucination. We came to a step to very nicely train these models in terms of being consistent, not making up things, and being very relevant. So of course, now we still might need an expert for evaluation, or we still might need a jury or a mentor to come in, but this already gives him very good insights before he even gets to work on what he or she should consider. Another option is the value summary. What is the actual benefit? What is the value proposition of this idea? Of course, maybe some part of it is already hidden there in the actual idea description, but this is to the bottom line, to our mission as BMW, to our innovation strategy over the next 5 years around customer centricity, or around driver experience, or around sustainability, whatever, planet centricity. This is the value summary of this specific idea. Here we got another example of regional fit. How would this idea fit different regions, or maybe highlight certain limitations? So you really can see the use cases and where we are going. Obviously, we have already a nice database of best practices of use cases, but the cool thing is that every client can use and develop very easily, within a few minutes, their own strategic innovation tools. Another use case for QIdeate in ideation is to provide industry examples, like what could be existing industry examples, going online, finding those and summarizing those, or maybe have a SWOT analysis on the specific idea or aligned with our information that we have. So this is for QIdeate, but let's go one step backwards and go to QTrend. Okay, where is everything actually coming from? Typically, it's coming from market trends or from business needs. And let's see a use case here, what we got. So we got, this is a very recent technology solution here about recovery from polluted exhaust air from a Swedish startup. We got this information from Trend 1 automatically in the recent days. It can already be tagged automatically. But what it also can do, we can say, okay, what are the use cases? What could be possible use cases for this technology trend? Again, related to our industry. And you can see even there are links, so I can even go there and go to this link. Another use case in the observation stage of the trend, where the trend already has been progressed, what would be the impact analysis, okay, of this one? Again, for BMW, for our strategic innovation pillars, what would be opportunities for us? Okay, again, for us specifically at BMW, these are possible opportunities. So you can see where this is going. For each stage, there might be additional tools that might be relevant. Let's take a look at some use cases in QOptimize for continuous improvement. These are typical smaller improvements, Kaizen, PDCA, etc., where blue-collar employees are submitting their ideas, or of course it can be white collars. And now let's take a look, for example, the supervisor review. What we can see is the supervisor review, which is many times the first stage where the idea goes, just to do some grammar review and to do some completeness review, etc. What we can see here, it already can write the supervisor review automatically based on the inputs that we have. And this is already basically pre-phrasing the review for the supervisor. So now, of course, the supervisor still can go in, they can change it, adopt it, edit it as needed, but it already gives them a clear picture of what this could be. For the expert, a lot of time we talk about safety. Okay, what could be a safety analysis of this idea? Again, working with the BMW safety considerations. And it lists down possible issues that should be tackled when we are about to implement a specific idea. Environmental analysis, right? What does it mean to the environment? Eventually, there's a sustainability report by the end of the year that our platforms are doing a big part to add to that report. What kind of ideas, what kind of improvements did you do to achieve your zero carbon policy or for feasibility assessment? So all of these are possible options and use cases that you can have as examples. Let's go for Qscout, for partnerships, for startups, right? We just found a new startup. We met them maybe at an event. We got the business card, we scanned in the business card, and now from here, basically, the platform can do a variety of things by enriching this profile. For example, identify competitors, identify patents possible. Okay, this is actually a use case where AI is still struggling, but we already got some good results here as well. Maybe meeting summaries, okay? All of these things are relevant when we are working with partners in either M&A, or startup scouting, collaboration, open innovation methodology. And eventually we get into our Q impact for innovation, project and portfolio management. Again, you can think what there would be possible use cases here. So obviously we have the usual suspects like executive summary and tagging, writer hashtags. But for the MVP, we might have MVP validation, right? It can be KPIs, what kind of KPIs we want to measure and suggest those, metrics, prototype summary, predictive success modeling, and going to market analysis, data integration, and so on. Again, getting all the information that it has, not only from that project, but from the background that we know about this company and the innovation program. And then again, for the business case planning, for implementation phase, and so on, these different tools can be used. And we can see that already different clients are having very different variations to fit their exact needs. Okay. So this is for the use cases. Yes, I think maybe let's talk quickly on how you can craft the perfect prompt. How you do that? Okay, so if there are questions, feel free to use the comment, and our team will be glad to answer. So how to craft a perfect prompt? Basically, there, as already mentioned, there are different elements on data that is there. Of course, when we talk about the idea, project, startup, etc., this information is crucial to take as concept, as context, but we take also the folder information, we take the campaign information, we take the mega trend information to it, or the innovation cluster information, the methodology, the industry, the company. All of these are different parts, and out of this, basically, the prompt is generated. And for that, we have different settings in your backend that you can set up and adjust accordingly. So right here, as you can see, we talk about the company, who is the company, and what is the company description, what are maybe their strategic goals. Then we talk about the different use cases in terms of different products. Are we talking about startups? Are we talking about ideas? Are we talking about innovation projects? So for each of those, we have different settings, what to use, what tools to use, but also what innovation methodologies we're using here. Okay, what is the use case in general in QIDIT, for example, for BMW? And based on that, the answer will be produced. And then, of course, we have the actual tool, the strategic innovation tool, which is powered by AI, which here, of course, is very simple, right? Write a summary, focus on ideas, core concept, but we recommend to have it much more specific, like to outline exactly on the relevant focus points. And whenever now the idea is submitted, the executive summary is created automatically. Okay. So we already saw what the different ones are, but now I think we can get to the next poll that we have right here.
Sounds great. So you guys should all be seeing this on your screen now. So the question we're asking here is, how do you see AI impacting your innovation strategy in the next 2 years? So trying to put it within a specific time frame to get some good input there. We've got transforming idea generation and collaboration, helping us better manage data and trends, enhancing decision-making processes, streamlining feedback and evaluation. And if you're unsure of the potential impact, you can indicate there. And if you see any other potential areas, please feel free to add those in the free text field. So once again, this is multiple choice, and to be honest, I can see how AI can heavily impact most of these things, but it's interesting, I think, to hear which ones are most relevant, most significant for you. So could be tempting to just hit yes for all of them, but I think to make it interesting for us, let's get the top one or top two maybe that you would prioritize. So I think we've got answers from most of you here. So I'll end the poll in 3, 2, 1. And you should all now see the results. So once again, it's a pretty even split, but we do see a clear winner, and that is transforming idea generation and collaboration. And that's certainly something we see as well. We think that ideation as a use case is definitely going to be impacted by these features that we've shown today, and ones that are still coming further down the line, right, Yoel?
That's right. So on the idea generation, basically what we have today already allows that. We do not right now say that once you have a challenge, just create ideas. We are aware that this is some use case that is out in the market. We found it for us less relevant for this stage. But of course, when a person comes in and has sees the challenge or sees a campaign topic, then it's really, it could even say, just give me an idea for the challenge and it would create it for him. But then it's still coming from the person that is actually submitting it, and someone is behind that idea. So we do want to keep in, especially in Q-ideate for a challenge-driven innovation and ideation, we want to keep the employees or the submitters to be part of the idea, because they are typically the most important part of the idea. And once we just generate ideas without those, then it's much harder to get into the ownerships. And once we are following entrepreneurship practices and we have the actual idea generator, then it's much easier in the implementation phase. And that's our still today the core issue: many ideas, but no one to implement those. And that's what Q-ideate basically helps you do that. So what are we currently working on? What is on our roadmap? There are a few things that I can share with you. First of all, this is coming soon. It's the image idea creation, which is of course also very straightforward, common solution. What we found is that many employees, they are not really willing to now add a visualization of their idea, now to find the right picture, and there might be certain guidelines that need to be kept to make it brand relevant. This is what we basically will add to the idea submission, to the challenge creation, the challenge wizard, where basically you can say what kind of idea should be generated, and it will give you 4 that you can then either redefine or select one of those. What's cool about this is that you can define certain central guidelines, what style it should be, or what colors they should be. So this is something that we are planning to release in the next 3 to 4 weeks. Next up is campaign summary. Basically what we have today is the manual campaign summary, where you can select the relevant ideas and have like a summary text, but on a push of a button, basically to summarize the campaign text, which are the most relevant ideas, already cluster the ideas accordingly, who were the top contributors, really get together the whole campaign as one contextual object and summarize it on a campaign summary page. Our top feature from our recent webinars and researches that we made with our clients is this one, which is the idea creator. If you have a better name, feel free to share for that. But basically what it does is, all I want, I don't want a submission form, I don't want too many things. I just have an idea, I just have a trend, I just have an inspiration from somewhere. That's what I want to share. Either I share it from my mobile phone with speech to text, or I copy paste it from a website, or I type in my idea, but it's simple text. This is the beginning. Now from there, once I say, yeah, this is basically my idea, it would already go and on one hand check in the portfolio, in your ecosystem, what are relevant projects, what are relevant improvements, what are relevant ideas that are related to this. So We still want to have the matchmaking and the synergies, the breaking down the silos. We still want this to happen. So this is like merge with an existing one. Okay, you have an idea that is already project to it. Maybe you can take part in that project, okay? Instead of now having your own idea. Maybe there is a partner or a startup that already has a solution for that, okay, that you can partner with. On the other hand, look at the web. What is out there, okay? What use cases do we have there to basically that are relevant with different, again, with different inspirations. Next up, there might be enough information we have now to create the idea. Maybe we want to ask a few more questions. Okay, so might be that we have a very specific form eventually that has to be filled in, but the information that we have from the user is not good enough yet. So we want to ask him about certain limitations of the digital inventory that he did not fill in, the budget. Okay, this is not AI, cannot give a budget by today. And then maybe additional questions, but it basically completes now. It first takes a look what there is, and if there is additional questions, then I would ask, but not the other way around. And then the last step is basically now I have a draft idea. As you can see, there of course are different elements, but eventually my text is not anymore here. Okay, it already has been created a title. There's already a one-line summary. There's already a current situation, current solution. It has been oftentimes people have a difficult time to separate between expected and actual. Now it's clearly split. AI is very good in that. Keywords, categories, all of the things already have been filled in. Co-contributors are here suggested. Do you want, this is also something today we ask in the submission form. Now they're already suggested based on this user. An idea image already has been suggested. And also, is there a possible campaign where my idea fits? Or is it an ad hoc idea? Or maybe it's actually a trend and not a campaign? All of the things are basically suggested, and only in the end, the user can, if he wants, select where to send this idea to or to save this draft. So again, if you have a name instead of idea creator for this one, then you feel free to share this in the comments. That's it so far from my end. Back to you, Elliot.
Thanks a lot, Yoel. That was amazing. It's really cool to see and imagine how these features can impact our customers. I think if you multiply the time saving from just a single use of one of those features in like in the idea phrasing area, then and multiply that by the amount of users that some of our customers have, and then spread it across all customers, obviously the results can be huge. So really looking forward to seeing our customers utilizing these features on a wide scale, and to discovering the new ways that customers can use these features, because obviously with the flexibility we offer, you can get creative and find your own use cases and come up with something unique for your own program. So yeah, very exciting stuff. I know we covered a lot of information there, a lot of details, the use cases across all the different products. So it might be a bit overwhelming for some of you who join. So if you have specific questions or you'd like to drill into a more specific topic in more detail, then don't hesitate to reach out. We'll be more than happy to address that with you one-on-one with your CSM if you're a customer, or with an account manager, or if you're interested in becoming a customer. But for now, we've got a few questions, so we can address those before we leave you all for the day. So first up, we have one from a customer, I believe, or a former customer, on the impact from AI for innovation management. So it's increasing the pace for generation and quality of ideas. Is there any cost reduction that you see as a result of AI features, Yoel?
Cost reduction, maybe if you can clarify that in the comment.
Yeah, so I mean, the commenter is referring to how the ideas directly result in improved idea generation, improved quality and pace of the ideas in the submission stage. But I guess in terms of cost reduction, that's the translation of the ideas themselves. So that you can obviously that can be a use case of the ideas, of the challenge is looking at cost reduction issues within the organization. I think that's the only way that the AI features can directly contribute towards that challenge, if I understand correctly, right?
So first of all, yeah, that's probably most typical in Qoptimize, where we reduce the timeline of evaluation, and already skip a few stakeholders in the process, or at least enable them to get their review faster. And every day, basically, we save in implementation of an idea. We, of course, save costs there. Then, of course, the amount of power users involved in all of our tools and the amount of work that is needed from, or effort that is needed from each of those users has also been very streamlined and made more efficient, which eventually then is cost saving as well.
Yeah, of course. So anything that contributes towards efficiency is eventually contributing to cost reductions. So that definitely makes sense. Another question here is, we have trained our own AI models specifically for our business. How can we integrate those? How can we integrate our highly trained model and into the Qmarkets use case?
Yeah, so different use cases. If you have your own models and your own cluster, then Qmarkets will be able to integrate to your own cluster. This is not the standard option, but this definitely can be discussed with our product team and with your account manager. What we had today, what we showed, it's not highly trained models, but it's very, very contextualized information, again, about the industry, about the business, about the actual enterprise, about the use cases, methodologies, innovation programs, actual challenges, and so on. All of this information is being used to get the relevant expertise, to get the relevant ideas and trends, etc.
That actually gives me a question, which is whether or not our AI model can learn from our wider customers. So, for example, can it take the lessons that Ford is gaining from the AI use of our feature, and can we then apply them on a wider scale to our other customers? Is that, I guess it's something that will continuously be refined over time based on actual usage, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Great. One question here is, does Qmarkets have any AI documentation that clients can provide to their internal organization units that are tasked with review and approval of the use of AI tools?
Yeah. So we do have documentation. Just ask for it either from your account manager or from your customer success manager. There's relevant documentation that you can forward to your IT or to your security team. As we outlined, security and data, IP, PII, this information is crucial that we protect it at any cost. So we got you covered on those one, and reach out if you need documentation there.
Wonderful. One final question. Is there any integration with reporting with AI features? So I guess they want to know if there's how they can use a report to look at the AI data specifically. Is that an option right now?
Yes, we log everything. So we do log everything also for our own analysis to learn, but also for yours. So how often what is used, how is it used, what is crucial for us right now, mainly for power users and end users, that they make the right use of it. Okay, that there is no abuse in terms of just taking what AI suggested. So we very clearly marked what information is coming from AI, and we have very clear adoption on onboarding as well in terms of for users to review and to check what AI generated. And of course, all of this information is being logged for our internal use, but also, of course, for your use, that you can address it and see how the improvement is working, exactly like you said, how much cost actually we saved, how did it affect the timeline, evaluation timelines, the amount of users involved, the idea success, the project success, and so on.
Right. That's good to hear. And this connects to one final question around the IP ownership and copyright and trademark conflicts. Is that something that you have seen so far, or is there anything that I guess the reporting functionality that you just mentioned does help to address any concerns like that, because it's all traceable, it's all trackable, it's totally transparent which information comes from AI and which is user generated, right?
Exactly.
Great. So unless there's anything else to add, I
I
think
think
we can
there's
wrap
one
it up.
last question for the IP. You see that?
Yeah, so I kind of combined those two
Okay.
questions into one, or to do
Okay.
with I mean, I guess separately, does Qmarkets participate in the IP ownership? But I'm pretty sure that's
So
not the case,
the
right?
what we have in terms of that, if you talk about that P ownership in terms of the actual strategic innovation tool that you can create by yourself, we have our best practice library that you can take from and that you can adjust. But of course, you can create your own. And if you create your own prompts, etc., and tools, you can decide either to use it only for yourself or to share it with the Qmarkets community. But if you share it, you specifically have to go to our marketplace and actively share it there for others to use. And we already have quite a few contributors there. So that definitely, once it's your prompt, it's considered your MP, as well as when you have different scorecards at different stages and so on, methodologies that you're using, this is considered your IP.
Right. Makes sense. Great stuff. Well, thanks a lot, Yoel, and thank you everybody for joining us today. It's always great to have you with us. If you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out separately. It's an exciting topic, and the features are all evolving. So I'm sure we'll have more updates for you in the near future. But for now, we'll leave you there. Hope you all have a great day and a great rest of the week, and we'll see you on the next webinar. Thanks again, Yoel.
Thank you, Elliot. Bye, everyone.
Take care, everyone. Bye bye.